All right guys, welcome back to the channel. In yesterday's video, we started diving into my other 07 STi. We got the whole subframe removed to take care of some rust. And we got all of the parts laid nicely here. You guys can tell how corroded and rusty this thing has gotten. It was a Canada car, so that explains all of this rust. Here is the subframe. The subframe is getting replaced. The U-frame, I don't think I'm gonna put back on the car. The front brace, don't think I'll need either because I am going to be putting a front mount on here. So saving a little bit of money there. But we got the whole front of the car torn apart. Now today's goal was to recoat the wheel wells on the front because if you guys can see, it is pretty crusty and I don't want this thing to rust out. But now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I should do the rear of the car as well. It doesn't make sense to have the front looking all nice and then the rear crusty. Now the rear isn't nearly as bad as the front. I don't really see any rust anywhere. It's just very, very dirty. So I'm not quite sure the game plan today. I think before we start coating the wheel wells of this car, I want to get under the car, remove a few more things, get all of the plastic shielding taken off so I can see how the frame of this car looks. Then I had a nice package show up this morning as well. If you guys watched 2 videos ago with the giveaway STi, the company I sent my wheels to get remade, refinished, stuff like that, they messed up pretty good. So then I went ahead and ordered the powder coat so I can redo it myself. I hate having people do stuff for me. If I can do it myself, I would like to. The issue was I don't have an oven here. I don't have anything to powder coat wheels. So I have the powder coat sitting in front of me. I'm not quite sure the game plan to get these coated. Brian, if he has an opening, I'll send him the wheels and the powder coat and I'll have him do it. But if I can do it myself, I think that would be a fun learning process. Let's go ahead and get the race car pushed out of the shop so we have all of the space in the world to start diving in more on the 07. I will say, looking at my 17 STi, my race car, it makes me very sad that this car is still torn apart. I don't know if I've updated you guys really. I'm not putting a new motor in this car yet. I told myself I would need to wait till the giveaway is over and until I finish a few more projects because unfortunately this car requires a lot more money to get running, but it makes me very sad looking at this car. I want to race this car so damn bad. It just doesn't make sense quite yet. All right guys, having a closer look at the rear subframe, this car is in like really, really rough condition. I've never looked at this car until I started doing this build series. I've never looked under it. And I didn't even look at the rear yesterday. It's hard to tell on video, but this thing is crusty. I think the game plan right now is to drop the rear subframe and take a look at all of the stuff. And honestly, this car might not even be savable. And I'll need your guys' input in the comments too. Is this something you guys want me to rebuild even though it's way out of my expertise? Or maybe I cut my losses with this car, I pull everything out of it, just leave it as a bare shell, and then maybe do like a fun STi swap on another chassis or generation Subaru. Now, before we get too far and I completely disassemble the subframe and stuff like that, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the rear bumper because I noticed here, there is most definitely getting some body rust. So I'm gonna pull this bumper to hopefully have a better view of the frame and see if this body itself is rusting. I noticed this rust here after I pulled off the flare, and then over at the gas lid here, you guys can see it is rusting on the body itself. And I'm no body expert. I would have to more than likely pay someone to fix that, and that's probably it'd be a lot of work to do that. So I wanna go ahead and remove the rear bumper and see how this thing looks. All of this probably seems pretty useless in today's video. I'm just taking stuff apart. but I am really like contemplating whether this car is savable or not. So I wanted to remove the rear bumper so I could see how the body of the car was back here. All the brackets are pretty rusty and corroded, but these are easily replaceable. I was just mainly looking at the actual body of the car, which this looks good from back here. So that is some good news. I'm gonna go ahead and remove all of these so I can get like a list and pile of parts I need to replace. I also showed you guys the rust here on the gas lid. It looks pretty bad underneath. I don't know if you guys can see. Is not that bad. And now since we have the taillight out, we can get a direct view to the gas lid. And I would have expected the inside, the rust to have just spread everywhere, but it looks very, very contained just to this one spot. So that is also good news. Granted, this whole quarter would need to get repainted and probably blended into that door. So that aspect, not really the best. We're finding everything that is rusty to be fixable for the most part that we've seen so far. The only issue is this whole car needs a lot of new parts. So it just comes down to, is it worth it? Is it worth the time? Because to rebuild this car where it's a clean, drivable, good chassis is going to take a lot of time and probably a good amount of money too. I don't know how easy it is to get a lot of these brackets. I'm assuming pretty damn easy, but there is going to be a big list of parts we need to replace. Now let's move on to probably the scariest part here. I'm gonna pull off these side skirts so we can see how all the pinch welds and the frame underneath the car looks. Truthfully, I'm quite nervous for this, but we have to check. That was easy. We got these side skirts off of here right off the bat. All of this is good. But as you guys can see here, it's only like the last like 1.5 feet where the frame rail is absolutely just disgusting. So that is a good sign. This whole middle section is perfect. And then the same thing in the front. And then the same thing on the driver's side. It's a little bit, there's some spots, but the general idea, the front like 1.5 feet, really bad. And then the same thing on the rear. Other than just the pinch weld aspect, everything underneath the car is very, very clean, thankfully. And it just looks like it's just every single accessory on this car. The whole driveline of this car is crusty, maybe savable, I'm not sure. I have never dealt with rust before, so I don't know what is safe, what is not safe, what's fixable, what's not fixable. So this is a huge learning process for me as well. All right, there we have it. There is kind of like the overall condition of the car. I don't think I'm going to take anything more apart right now. I need to go home and do like research to see the cost of all the parts I need to replace, just to know if it's even worth, and if this rust that I'm seeing is structurally bad, stuff like that. I need to figure out if this car is worth saving, it comes down to. But I need your guys' input as well. Would you guys like to see this be a full restoration build? Or should I cut my losses, pull maybe the full drivetrain out of the car and swap it into another generation Subaru, or maybe not even a Subaru? I don't know, play around with that idea as well, because I have a full drivetrain, I have a whole motor for this car. Maybe I just put it into something else and just scrap the chassis itself. I'm not sure. I am kind of at a loss right now. I was really hoping to get more done today, like pull a whole subframe out, the rear subframe, take a look at all of that, but I don't know what is worth my time and not worth my time. So make sure to let me know down below what I should do with this car.